Good afternoon. If you are a social worker in the UK, this video you will find it very interesting and you'll learn a lot. If you have a social work qualification abroad, you're thinking of coming to work in children and family social work in the UK, I've got good news for you. This video could be the breakthrough that you've been waiting for because I've got someone who I consider to be a mentor. This person is a big beast in social work. Within 7 years, he has risen to the position of management in social work. He is originally from Zimbabwe in the beautiful Rhodesia. Without wasting your time, can you kindly introduce yourself to the audience?
Thank you. My name is Lamek. I'm a social worker by profession.
Lamik, like they say in Shonaland, Tetenda, it's a pleasure. I mean this honestly. It's a pleasure for having you because you've taken your time to come and speak to us. You want to share your wisdom, your experience so that people can learn. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Good. So let's go straight to the point. Lamik, when did you decide you were leaving Zimbabwe and what made you decide to leave?
Primarily, I thought to myself, look, I have been working as a social worker in Zimbabwe for a while. I had risen through the ranks in Zimbabwe. I worked in the statutory department. I also worked in the charity sector. So in the charity sector, I had risen all the way to managing projects. So there came a time when I thought to myself, maybe I needed to have international exposure. I needed to come out and see what the world has to offer. So at that point, really, I had opportunities that were coming up in the UK. Then someone contacted me from abroad. They said, oh, we've seen your CV. We are willing to offer you an interview. So that was the turning point for me to say, oh, okay, let me have an opportunity as well to talk to these guys and see what they have to offer.
Okay. So when was that?
That's around 2015.
Okay. My producers told me you've been qualified for about 16 years. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, good. So 2015 was the time you got that phone call about someone offering you an interview.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, from 2015 to when you actually got the visa, how long did it take you?
I had my interview December 2015. So into January, that's when we started the processes of coming here. The visa itself came out in, I think it was about 2 weeks.
Okay.
Right. So when the visa came out, I needed, of course, to prepare myself, serve notice where I was working. So I then moved to the UK May of 2016.
I understand you had a very good, high-paying job in Zimbabwe, and you were able, with your previous employer, to get a grant of up to $1 million US. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Like I said earlier, I was working in the charity sector, or what we call the non-governmental organization sector back home. So we were looking specifically into child protection, looking at strategies of children living with HIV and things like that. So there was a call for proposals by USAID to say, okay, we need local NGOs who are willing to bring forth their proposals and showcase what they really want to do. So I was part of the team that came up with a proposal. It was a winning proposal, I'm pleased to say. So we got a grant of $1 million. That was going to be for about 5 years. That's $1 million US.
So you were in a strategic position with your previous employer, where you were part of the decision makers. That, for most people in Africa, is a very good job in terms of pay and status. Why did you decide to leave that to come to the UK and start all over again?
Well, to be honest, I didn't consider it as starting all over again. It was more of a career change, in the sense that I was leaving primarily the NGO sector and now coming into a different context where I was going to look specifically at child protection.
Right.
Because I wanted to diversify my understanding of child protection by looking specifically at the statutory requirements.
Yeah.
Because the UK is a model.
Okay.
Okay. It's a model for child protection worldwide.
Yeah.
So looking at the model of child protection in the UK, I thought to myself, wow, I think I need to have first-hand experience
Okay.
of this.
Okay.
So I'd spoken to colleagues who are already in the UK who had done maybe a similar move. So I thought to myself, I think it's something that I would want to experience as well. So that's why I decided to come.
Okay. So you got the visa. When did you arrive in the UK?
May 2016.
2016. And which local authority employed you straight when you came?
I was working in London for the London Borough of Hillingdon.
Okay. Was that in child protection?
Precisely, yeah.
Okay. In Africa, the legislation is different. Okay. So how were you able to navigate the Children Act 1989, 2004, given that you don't know anything about, well, you haven't studied in a place where you were used to that legislation before you came?
Interestingly, we've got the Children's Act in Zimbabwe.
Okay.
Yes, so it's sort of modeled around the UK one.
Okay.
Although there are certain provisions that are different. However, the bulk of the Children's Act back home is modeled around the UK Children's Act. So the interesting thing was that when it was like transferable skills, basically, I was just coming from a context where I was doing child protection, although in different settings, to the UK where child protection is purely statutory, and working in the statutory sector further reinforced my ability to safeguard children, I should say.
Okay.
Because at least there is a framework that is guiding me in my work at the moment. That is quite an interesting development, I should say.
What were the early challenges you faced when you first arrived in the UK?
Moving to a new country is always a challenge. Firstly, the pace is pretty fast. You really have to be on top of your game if you are to survive in social work here, specifically in child protection. So back home, you could get away with just doing things at your pace. Yes, we had strict deadlines to try and meet maybe donor requirements, for example, and so forth. But in the UK, you have specific timescales. You have to do a single assessment within this period. You have to do a Section 47 within this period. So getting used to that quick turnaround was quite an interesting area for me. But I was willing to take it up,
What strategies helped you?
The strategies that helped me, primarily, I'm one person who's able to talk to people.
Okay.
So if there are areas where I wasn't clear on, I would approach colleagues and say, okay, can you help me on this? And then they would talk me through that. That was the first thing. The second thing is training.
Okay.
Yeah, because coming from abroad, I'm someone who is always willing to learn, to find more information, to discover new strategies. So I put myself into that place of wanting to learn, attending trainings, different seminars. So that also helped me to sort of adjust to the way of working here. I would say the third thing that helped me was my manager then, very supportive. It's nothing that beats a supportive manager. And I've seen that in social work, you need a supportive environment to work in. So primarily, supportive manager and a supportive team, your colleagues. So those are some of the things that assisted me to adjust to life in the UK. I remember one particular friend at that time who said to me, okay, young man, you've come into this country. I'm going to show you how when you're traveling. I didn't know how to use a sat-nav, for example. Going for visits, we needed to put a sat-nav and I would struggle. But having a colleague shadowing other people who were doing their thing helped me to adjust quickly.
So the three things are support network, passion to learn, and having a supportive manager.
Exactly.
Okay, good. So I'm glad you have a comment. So at what stage did you decide to go into management? Before you answer that question, quick appeal. Launch Club, the idea behind Launch Club is about coming together to make sure that people from marginalized community in the UK and abroad continue to get information to better their lives. We are working assiduously to make sure that our people get information to better their life. The information that we provide you, the effort that we make to get knowledgeable people like me to come and speak to us, it takes a lot of effort to do this. We're not asking you for anything. All I'm asking you for to continue to support us is to share the videos, like, Support us on our Facebook and YouTube page. And thank you so much to the guys that have supported us so far, because in the last 48 hours, our support followership has gone up by up to 2,000%. Thank you. That's the quick appeal. So the question I want to ask, at what stage did you decide I want to go into management?
Like I said earlier, I was already in management back home.
Back home, okay.
Yeah. So that has always been my desire to say, okay, through the ranks, let me rise, So when an opportunity presented itself at one time, I put in my application. So I was called into an interview. 2 heads of services interviewed me. They were impressed. And they said, oh, wow, well done. We are offering you this job. So it was like getting back into that management mindset again to say, okay, I'm no longer running around with cases. I'm now back into that management role where I'm going to be supporting other social workers. So that is the point. I saw an opportunity, I applied, and I got the job.
Good. So what strategies would you suggest that have helped you to overcome the challenges you face in management?
The key thing is self-reflection. You reflect on your work to say, okay, what am I doing right? How can I continue improving on that? Also look and say, okay, what am I not doing so right? Then you seek support around that. But the key thing about management, what I've noticed is you're managing maybe a group of, let's say, 4 or 5 social workers. We have different caseloads, demanding caseloads. So you have to be on top of your game as a manager, sleepless hours, sleepless nights, trying to make sure you are supporting your colleagues. Because I've got, for example, at the moment, workers who are out making visits, 8, 9, they're still out working. That also means I'm working because I have to make sure that worker has got back home safe. Who are they visiting? What has happened in that visit? Are they home safe? So those are some of the things that you have to do as a manager. Try and navigate to make sure that, yes, you've got time for yourself. However, you've got responsibility over other people and their work. So it's all about making sure that you keep things on track the whole time. You're supporting your workers in the process.
Good. I mean, guys, if you are watching this video, you are a social worker living abroad, you're interested in finding out information about social work in the UK, you're considering coming to practice in the UK, you can contact me on Facebook. I have been a practitioner for more than 10 years. I work in health and social care. Before I came into social work, like 7 years experience as a youth worker, support worker, mental health and everything. I might be able to guide you. So in terms of where you are now and where you're coming from, if there's anyone who is living abroad, who's considering coming to the UK to practice, what would be your advice for them?
I would say the key thing is believe in yourself, because if you are defeated within yourself, you won't be able to achieve anything. So believe in yourself, believe you can do it, have a hunger or a desire to learn or to move to the next level. Okay? Thirdly, try and create a network. Because if you come into a new country, totally different from where you are, if you don't create a network around you, you would struggle. So I'd say come here, try and see if you can make linkages with other social workers. It could be from your own country, it could be from just anywhere. Just create a network around you. People are going to support you. People have gone through what you are going through. That is very key. The other thing is be willing to come down, learn the ropes, and rise through the ranks.
Do you think, looking back now, if you have to do it again, would you do the same thing?
Yes, I would. Definitely, I would.
Lamik, it's been a pleasure, an absolute pleasure speaking to you and you sharing your knowledge. Even me, myself, I have learned just from speaking to you. Thank you so, so much for coming. Like we say in Shona, Tentenda, brother.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.